All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sphons Ccw Live Show, brought to you by, obviously, Sphons Ccw. Once again, we're running a little behind this week. Been kind of a crazy week with everything going on. What do we got? Had to move some classes.
328 class is now moved to the 25th of April, and the 4-4 class is now moved to the 26th of April. So after that, we got another CCW class coming up. We just added today on the 3rd of May, and then the 9th and 10th of May, we are still planning on having the defensive pistol 2-day class. And then we got the 30th of May is the basic grip rifle carbine. 16th of May is an NRA basic pistol. Whether we change that around to just a regular CCW or not is really, it's the same class pretty much. And then June 14th, we also have a CCW. And it's about all we got on the schedule besides some advanced classes a little later on in July.
Yep.
But as far as concealed handgun classes, that's about it for the moment.
And yeah, we're probably going to have a busy summer. We got a lot of new gun owners that are kind of coming out of the woodwork here. A lot of people bought a firearm. If you have something on order from us through the retail end, you will get your stuff. Everything that was purchased, we got on order, and we have on the way. The shipping's a little slow. FedEx and UPS are kind of buried, and the distributors are a little bit behind. But everything that you guys did buy is on the way and should be here in the next week or so. I would think. I would hope. We got stuff that folks have waited for a couple weeks for, and we just want to reassure everybody that you're going to get your stuff. So if you don't get your stuff, you'll get a refund. So that's shouldn't be a worry through all this hubbub. I was actually supposed to go to a class, and it got canceled. And
Yeah.
so we're kind of working through the issues. And
Are you on YouTube?
should be.
The camera?
Yeah, let me check something here for everybody here. Yep. Probably make your screen go crazy a little bit here, but I want to make sure that we are live and running. I kind of screwed the YouTube portion up last week and forgot to hit the live button, so just making sure. Trying to do double duty. Full-time gigs. Nate isn't here tonight. Looks like he's probably going to end up working all weekend. So got a bunch of stuff going on because of this pandemic that's going around. What do we got here? So
Range tips?
Yeah, range tips. We got some good range tips.
I just want to remind everybody, I know you can't shoot much. You don't have to shoot much. When you go to the range, if you take a 50-round box of ammunition with you and spend a couple, 3 hours down there, you don't have to shoot much. The key is focusing on your fundamentals and accuracy. Start with a big target and progress down to the smallest target you can see, and slow fire with concentration on your fundamentals, and the accuracy will come before you speed up. If your accuracy goes wild and goes out of proportion on your target, then you have to slow down. But that's something we practice all the time. And I guess one of the sayings we use a lot around here is aim small, miss small.
Yep.
So if you are aiming at a small target, as much as you can, then when you get to a big target, it's going to be you're still going to have a small hole.
Yeah.
So where you're hitting your target. So just remember that. Aim small, miss small. And the smaller the target you can see, the better off you are.
I want to add one thing here. And it's one of the first comments that we got up on the YouTube feed and the Facebook feed with all of these new gun owners that have kind of flocked to their Second Amendment rights here as we deal with this pandemic that we're having out. I put up our essentially it's intro to handgun or basic handgun series to help a bunch of folks out. I keep seeing a lot of different training companies throwing up different classes that are live feed and online, and we can do that if there's some interest for it. Have no issues doing that, but the thing is, we've already got an entire video series dedicated to the new handgun owner on YouTube, and they can work through that at their own speed.
Right.
And so if you're running across somebody who maybe just needs to go back and work on a fundamental, or somebody that has bought their first firearm, kind of point them into that direction to help them out a little bit.
And if anybody has questions, email us, call us. We'll answer any question you got. As far as we're concerned, there's no stupid question.
Absolutely.
And so, we're here to help. So, anyway, carry tip. This goes back to right up to what we're dealing with now with this social distancing thing, which theoretically should give you about 6 feet of space between the people around you, and you can actually use that to your advantage when you're out carrying your handgun. If you use that 6 feet as a starting point for time equals distance, then it may mean the difference between getting in a gunfight and not, or having to use your gun. So, that's a good thing to remember. Your head should still be on a swivel everywhere you go. If you're out in the crowd, I know crowds are kind of non-existent right now, except for Walmart maybe, but
or gun store.
Oh my God! But just bear that in mind. Keeping in mind that the social distancing thing that I think is old hat to us, because if we're out somewhere carrying a gun, we normally have space between us and people anyway.
Certainly.
It's just ingrained in us at this point.
Yep.
So we want space. And when somebody gets too close, it's like, what do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, if you're not practicing that, it may be time that you should. This is a good time, while the government is kind of telling you, yeah, you should be 6 feet away from people.
Certainly.
So,
absolutely.
Anyway, that's what I got.
So that brings us on to our video. And let me see if I can pull it up here. There we go. So this one, we talk about time and distance on a regular basis when it comes to defensive uses of your firearm. And I guess we need to point out that some of these uses everything's fluid, everything's dynamic. There's times when deception and sleight of hand will work just as well as time and distance. And mostly when the perpetrator, I guess we could call them, or adversary, or whatever you want to call them, is not focused on you. This works really well. So essentially what we have here is some type of retail setting, and I can't really see much what's going on in the case, but we can see a young lady here that is selling something. You can see the receipt printer in her computer screen, and this fella here purchasing something over the counter. I don't know whether this is a cell phone store or some kind of shipping depot, because this guy's got a box right here.
Looks like a shipping depot or something, don't it?
And you got some chairs and whatnot. But if you notice, it's got to be in a warmer climate, because there's no real doors here. There's no like glass doors or any type of physical barrier that is out there. I want to adjust this screen a little bit here because we're covering up quite a bit of it. There we go. That's going to be a little better. Can you see that, Corey? Or do I need to make it bigger?
I mean, I'm on a phone, so I'm doomed anyway.
I'm doing anyway.
Well, what we can do here is we can do this and then that.
Yeah.
So we'll get that full
Yeah, that's a
screen.
lot better.
So
Yeah.
we can see our shipping depot here, and what we want to watch is the upper right hand corner of the screen, and then this young lady here and this fella right here. So we're working on deception here and sleight of hand. So as we progress through our video, you can see folks are going to enter the scene here, and very quickly you're going to see this dude produce a handgun. Right there it is. Okay. Now this guy notices this fella, and I don't know whether this guy here is saying something to him or if he's noticing back or what. But this guy in the back is also noticed, and you know, criminals travel in pairs at least, so he's got a backup buddy back here in case anything goes wrong. What's going to go real wrong here shortly? So this girl, she flips up her cash register over here, and then right there. Oh, we're going to go back a little bit. As you can see, this fella here, the perpetrator, is looking at his goal of the cash money. He's not paying attention to this guy or this guy, and it's a fatal mistake. The guy on the left-hand side of your screen pulls his 45. I know this is a 45 because it looks just like a 1911. Knocks him 3 times.
Yep, he's done.
And the perpetrator is now taking a dirt nap.
Yep. Yeah, he did, man. 45 to the side of the head.
So if we go back through here, you can see that the cashier, she moves away from the fight immediately. Okay. And then we progress through here. The old guy in the back, he figures out what's going on. He's getting out of Dodge. As you can see, the perpetrator's backup buddy, he decided he was getting out of Dodge real early. And it was about right here when he sees the dude pull the gun out.
Yep.
He says, well, I got business in the next county. I'm out.
Store.
I'm gone. Here's what my issue with this. Now, his deception worked really well. It was concealed. He put down the perpetrator. Here's my issue with it. He goes for a stroll out front with his firearm in his hand.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
We're going to move this along here and pause it. So he's going to go for a stroll out front with a firearm in his hand. Obviously, while folks are calling 911 saying there's been a shooting in a store, we got to remember the police don't know
Don't know who's who.
Don't know who's who, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. They don't really care. They're just there to secure the scene. What I think this gentleman in the red shorts could have done a little better is probably taken a step back. Had the perpetrator decided that they were going to take a swipe for that gun, they may have been able to swipe it away. You don't really want to get your firearm that close. The other thing is clothing malfunctions, stuff like that. And we don't know what's on that side of his person there. There could have been a wall there. There could have been something there where he could not take a step back. But I think one thing that we learned from this is he made the decision to acted, and then stopped. There isn't anything else. There isn't really
Definitely
any.
stop the threat right there.
Stop the threat. There isn't any real excessive force going on. There isn't. Obviously the man is still thinking and aware of his surroundings. He's looking around. He's working on probably a solution in his mind, and everybody else who is in the area is safely away. So I think this went really well. Just a couple things where you're not going to want to go cruising around out front. You're either going to want to reholster when you're sure that things are calmed down.
No more threats.
Or maybe set the gun down, something like that. I'm not a big fan of setting the gun down. I'm a big fan of reholstering slowly, properly, and safely, and then dealing with the authorities as they arrive on scene. Because obviously, this scene's going to become very chaotic really quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, walking around the front of the store with it in your hand is not a bright idea.
No,
not really. You're liable to run into a cop right away and be in the same boat as the guy on the floor.
Yep.
So
I did notice that the fellow who was shipping the box that was along the row of chairs, he decided he could ship that box at a later date.
Yeah, he left the box.
Yeah. He's probably in the next county.
I would think something.
So, yeah. So if you're ever involved in a defensive scenario, reholster and wait for the police. Always wait for the police. One thing you learn about 911 is the first to call 911 is generally the victim, whether they're actually the victim or not.
Yes.
That is the way it's kind of perceived, and it's generally put across the radio as the complainant rather than the victim. But a lot of times they will use that terminology that the first one calling is the victim, and that's what they're looking for when they show up on scene. So, what it is.
Anyway,
News. I'd like to have some good news this week. Don't have a whole lot of it. Some good news. Got this off Buckeye Firearms. Ohioans for Concealed Carry has got it up. There's a couple news organizations up. Bill passes to extend the expired concealed handgun license during pandemic shutdown. HB 197 with an amendment to address concealed handgun license expiration is unanimously passed the House and Senate. Now it goes to the governor for his signature. So as soon as the governor signs it, we'll be good to go. The legislation extends the expiration date of Ohio concealed handgun license for 90 days if the expiration falls during the state of emergency in Ohio. There are a few sheriffs that have reopened and are taking license applications again in renewals, albeit only 15 hours a week and through the glass, and they're taking several precautions. So March 9th, but not beyond December 1st, 2020. So this goes on to say that Buckeye Firearms immediately alerted Governor DeWine and House and Senate leadership to this problem during the week of March 16th when we received reports of sheriff's offices shutting down due to health concerns over the coronavirus. And that could have been a pretty big issue.
Yeah.
I know Ryan's license was set to expire. I think he got his renewed, didn't he?
He's right here.
Yeah?
What's going on?
Would you what?
They're like 4 or 5 weeks out on scheduling.
Really?
And yeah.
Was this Carol or who? Columbiana. Wow.
Yeah, but I think it's because they're technically open right now, but they're not letting anybody come in during like the 2-week quarantine shutdown period.
Uh-huh.
So they're not scheduling anybody this past week or next week, and then they start scheduling again the following week.
I wonder if Stark County's scheduling or doing any.
I have no idea. I only called Columbiana, and that was before Stark and Carroll decided to open back up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we should do a little digging on that and find out, huh?
Yeah, I don't know who's in the office to dig with, but
Yeah, I don't know. Which if your license is set to expire, then we got this bill that helps us out. But all the new applicants, that's kind of out the window. You know what I mean?
right.
And I don't know how many new applicants they're going to have in this next couple weeks, but maybe some. I would imagine it's going to go crazy after this.
Yeah, I
know we have somewhere around 10 from the class before the shutdown there.
Yeah.
None of them made it in yet.
No. Interesting. Well, hopefully everybody gets it kind of sorted out and goes from there. At least
I think I'll go ahead and call Stark Monday, Tuesday, and see what they're like.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
I'll get a hold of Columbiana again. I got to go see them anyway. So
if the thing is with this, if they extend the expirations 90 days, that may open up and take some workload off the sheriff's department to get more new applicants in rather than doing all the renewals. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it gets rid of the paranoia. People worried about their license running out.
Yeah,
exactly.
And most people are trying to stay out of public places as it is now, so they know they have that 90 days. They might just say, to heck with it, wait.
Yeah. Hopefully they just don't forget about it and go past their 90 days.
Right. What is it, 90 days from the expiration date?
Well, it is actually, they put a cap on it, not beyond December 1st, 2020, but 90 days from your expiration date currently. So you can't go, if they continue the shutdown order, they would probably have to put another bill in to go by the 1st of December.
Yeah.
So that would...
yeah, they just put that on so it didn't carry into the following year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine, because that would be a royal pain in the butt, I'm sure, for the sheriffs.
Well, just trying to figure out who's who and who falls under it and everything else has got to be
that's
got to be
a
paid for.
full-time job there. Holy cow.
I would imagine it is. Because
now people that expired before this bill are going to try to say that they fall under it, and
yeah,
it's going to be a mess.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure. We had a body found in Carroll County.
Yeah.
Skeletal remains. What was that?
I said I seen that. That was not far from one of the places I work.
Yep.
One of the guys I worked with reported it.
Really?
Not far from a production site. Yep.
Huh.
Well, the original crash, I should say.
The original what?
There was a crash in that area. The car was stolen plates, stereo equipment. The car was up against the stop sign, and the person was gone. There was blood in the seat and whatnot, but the person was gone. And that's right about that same area the remains were found.
Really? So, looks like remains were found in an isolated area of Fox Township and Burgles. Partially clothed remains were found by a landowner off Torch Road on Saturday, March 1st. Can't talk tonight. Williams says the landowner spotted the remains from a distance, thinking it was a deer at first sight. The coroner, Dr. Mandel Haas, BCI investigators, and the sheriff detectives were all called to the scene. The remains were sent to the Stark County coroner to perform DNA testing. Stark County has 2 open cases involving missing people: Rosemary Rapp, Karen Hansen, both who disappeared in one in 2016, one in 2019. So I did hear some reports that maybe that some other remains were found in the area, and I couldn't find the news article again. So a woman they'd been looking for a long time. Um, they think they may have found her remains also. So hopefully those families get some closure on that. And then one of our alphabet agencies, namely the FBI, releases a pro Second Amendment statement, states the importance of armed citizens in America.
I'll be damned.
And they're talking about active shooter incidents, and why they would release this now, I have no idea. I mean, but whatever. They're defined as any incident involving one or more individuals who are actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill those within a populated area, gang or drug-related shootings notwithstanding. So there was 50 active shooter incidents in 2016 and 2017. In 2018, an investigation by the FBI showed that in numerous incidents involving active shooters, there were people who stopped them by use of a weapon. Armed and unarmed citizens engaged the shooter in 10 incidents. They safely and successfully ended the shootings in 8 of those incidents. The report said their selfless actions saved many lives. So if we take a page from the Moms Demand Action playbook and say, if it saves one life, it's worth it. I mean, we have proof. They don't.
Yeah. Well, they'll never go along with that.
The enhanced threat posed by active shooters and the swiftness with which active shooter incidents unfold support the importance of preparation by law enforcement officers and citizens alike. In one incident, a citizen possessed a valid firearms permit, exchanged gunfire with the shooter, causing the shooter to flee to another scene and continue shooting, the report said. Yet, in the wake of so many gun shootings and violence, a call for disarming American citizens remains. We all know who those people are. According to Timothy Hasayo for The Federalist, it is not a matter of if guns increase violence, but if guns are a good means of self-defense, and probably the best means of that. What matters is not the risk or lack thereof that guns pose to society, but simply whether guns are a reasonable means of self-defense. Adding that to defend one's life is a basic dignity that cannot be taken away in the name of social utility. Rights function as a moral trump card that override appeals to utility, he said. Like our right to life, our right to defend ourselves is a basic dignity that can't be defeated just because it might produce a net benefit. A lot of people don't quite understand how our rights in our country works, that even the individual right matters, and you can't take that away for the good of the collective, no matter how much you would like to stretch that envelope and justify it. That is not the way this country was founded and or put onto the map. The overwhelming majority of the time, those guns are never drawn in anger, wrote Paul Heiss for Forbes. But innocent civilians can and do sometimes use their guns in self-defense. Any conversation, Heiss added, that centers around firearm policy needs to acknowledge that those that are saved by the legal use of guns in self-defense, such as those in active shooter incidents. The value of firearms in the hands of law-abiding citizens should be measured in terms of lives saved or crimes prevented, he said, not criminals killed. This article originally appeared on the Western Journal, and there's a link to that. Obviously, there's a link to all of the articles in the video description, so if you want to go check that out, feel free to do so. An Illinois man, 48, is convicted of a booby trap shotgun killing. Every couple years or so, we see stuff like this come around. An Illinois man who had a shotgun booby trap that killed a neighbor last year was convicted on Thursday of murder and another charge, according to media reports. The Union County jury found William Wassmund, 48, guilty of first-degree murder and aggravated battery in the death of Jeff Spicer, the Southern Illinoisian reported. Prosecutor said Westmund rigged the shotgun to a rope connected to the door of a shed on his property so the weapon would fire when the door was opened. The discharge killed Spicer as he tried to enter the shed, authorities said. Men who lived nearby found Spicer's body on Westmund's property on September 16, 2018. Westmund's defense attorney said the client had complained of thefts on his property and suggested Spicer was there to steal. Lawyer Thomas Mansfield argued Spicer caused his own death by ignoring no trespassing and do not enter signs and breaking the lock on the shed door, he said. Special prosecutor Matt Goten said it didn't matter why Westmund set the gun to fire, only that he did so, something that ultimately cost Spicer his life. And we go through this pretty in depth in most of our concealed handgun, defensive pistol classes. You cannot use your firearm to defend property only. And since the homeowner was not in the shed in fear for his life, any use of that particular firearm to defend his property, even in the state of Illinois, would not have been justified to do. I know folks get frustrated when stuff gets stole out of their shed or garage or house or whatever, but
It's just stuff.
it's just stuff, and the use of lethal force is generally not justified for defensive property outside of one state. And then there's a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo loopholes and wrangling that you must do and think about before you can defend your property in that one state. And the state of Illinois and the state of Ohio do not have those protections, I should say. So you cannot use your firearm or a firearm to defend property only. That includes rigging it in a shed to fire automatically. So, yeah, don't do that. It's not really worth it, because now this guy is going to spend the rest of his life probably behind bars for whatever was in his shed. Not really what we need to be doing.
Long-term plan didn't play out.
Yeah, long-term plan didn't play out. And as we talk about firearm rights, we have, and this is not the last time. Well, this isn't the first time that this has happened, but hopefully it's going to be the last, because this is now in a city that has been done to before. Another mayor empowers herself to ban guns during a crisis despite a lawsuit precedent.
They already fought that out in court during
New
Katrina.
Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell has joined Champaign, Illinois Mayor Deborah Frank Finan in exploiting the coronavirus crisis to ban the sale and transfer of firearms. They already sued these people for this. They already won. This is just an example of a politician trying to grind their own axe with their own personal views on the public and spending taxpayer dollars when they lose the lawsuit again, just like the city of Cleveland. We went through this during Hurricane Katrina. And it turned out badly for the folks that were doing the confiscation, the folks that were limiting the transfer and supply, the folks that were running the city. It turned out badly for them. So why would they do it again?
It doesn't make sense.
I don't understand why they would go after this exact same thing all over again. GPM reported earlier this week that Finan had issued an executive order declaring a coronavirus emergency in the city she governs, in which was not confirmed a single case of the virus. The ordinances, the New York Post reported, let Finan ban the sale of firearms and ammunition as well as booze. Okay. So many of those powers I have had from the beginning. All we have done is enumerate them, and now the public is aware of them. So I am the liquor commissioner. I can shut down bars yesterday. I could have shut them down 2 years ago. Nothing has changed with respect to that. It is just what we have laid it out, so people are aware of that. In respect to the other items that are listed in the attachment, they have been listed in the city code for 15 years. Well, I think you got sued out of that privilege
Yeah.
a while ago. In a similar move, Cantrell announced she is empowered, if necessary, to suspend or limit the sale of alcoholic beverages, firearms, explosives, and combustibles. I'd like to know what they consider combustibles.
That gasoline?
Toilet paper?
Gasoline is combustible.
Toilet paper is combustible.
Yeah.
It burns pretty well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sugar.
Yeah, sugar. There's everything is combustible, for Pete's sake. SAF founder and executive vice president Alan Gottlieb announced on the organization's website, following Hurricane Katrina, we sued the city when then Mayor Ray Nagin's administration began confiscating firearms from law-abiding citizens for no good reason. The federal court ordered the city to cease confiscations. We sued New Orleans then. We'll do it again, Gottlieb vowed. The presence of a nasty disease does not suspend any part of the Bill of Rights, no matter what some municipal, state, or even federal politician may think. We certainly recognize the seriousness of this virus and its ability to spread rapidly, he continued. Treating COVID-19 and taking steps to prevent it from infecting more people has nothing at all to do with the exercise of the right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment. People legally licensed to carry should not have the right to do suddenly curtailed because some politician panicked, Gottlieb observed. We didn't allow it before, and we're not going to allow it again. Well, hopefully they win their lawsuit. It's just ridiculous that people would go through, spend taxpayer dollar to do this, and then go back and spend taxpayer dollar again to do it again. It's like tripping over the same storm grate that's got a tall corner twice.
Yeah.
I mean, learn to pick your feet up the first time. In any event. Looks like you're trying to say something.
No, I was just thinking, for every politician that has a lawsuit brought against them in regards to firearms, if they lose, that should be paid out of their salary.
Well, you would think.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, look at the city of Cleveland. They spent something like
$25 million.
$25 million over the last couple of years fighting ORC 9.68.
Yeah.
And they've lost like
every time.
At 3 times, I do believe,
Yep.
that they've lost. And they're going to try and fight it again. They're literally wasting taxpayer dollar. They have unemployment rates. They have crap streets. They have the same problems everybody else has got. And what are they going to do?
They're throwing money down a rat hole.
Yeah, they're paying lawyers to fight something that's been well established for centuries, literally.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Because they're pissed off because they can't win.
And then the problem is, really, what the end result happens is the folks that are in charge of running the local governments or the city governments or the state governments, they waste their money on stuff like this, and then they have to go back after the taxpayer for additional funds because they used up their funds to do things like fix roads and build schools and improve libraries and different things like that. So then they go back after the taxpayer, and the taxpayer finally says, enough's enough, and then they whine because they have to do stuff like close libraries and schools and daycare centers. And
if you hadn't spent all that money on frivolous lawsuits that you lost before.
Yeah. I mean,
the court doesn't mean anything today. You can just go higher and higher and higher and higher. And then, and you still lose. And then you go back to the taxpayers and say, well, we need more money.
Yeah. So we knew this was coming. New York suspends pistol permitting, shuts down Remington in response to COVID-19. This guy right here, I want everybody to take a look at this guy right here.
Il Duce.
He's an idiot. So states across the country have swiftly adopted draconian measures to slow the spread of COVID-19, including an indefinite suspension of the citizens' Second Amendment rights. So this guy isn't any different than the New Orleans mayor. The only difference is in New Orleans, you don't need a permit to purchase a handgun. In New York, you need a permit to purchase the handgun. If they suspend the permits, then they suspend anybody purchasing a handgun. So that's pretty self-explanatory. The other thing is, New York also forced a closure of Remington Arms in Ilion, New York, until April 30th because the factory was deemed non-essential. According to Herkimer County Legislature Chairman Vincent J. Bono, Remington Arms payroll makes up about a sixth of the county's total economy. The closure will be devastating for the families of these workers, he told Observer Dispatch, which we understand. The thing is, Remington offered to start making medical supplies,
Yeah.
and they told them no. So not only could
Their
these
name's
folks,
too scary.
what's that?
Their name's too scary.
Apparently.
Well,
So
they don't want the backlash of, one of these extreme gun grabbers, or, one of the extreme liberals on the left, finding out that their life got saved by something made in a gun factory.
well,
They don't deal with that.
If you look at the production techniques with firearms and then the production techniques with a lot of medical stuff, a lot of it crosses over, just like building cars or anything like that. If you're going to produce
It's
something,
all stamp and press. It's just
Retool the machine and run.
right.
yeah. I mean, I got full faith that Remington could start producing the number of ventilators that New York City needs probably in under a week.
Yeah.
I mean, they should be pumping them things out. So, shame on this guy.
But that's all it is. They don't want to have to tell people that they got their life saved by something made in a gun factory. That's all it is.
I mean, we keep hearing about this is akin to a wartime economy and different things like that. Well, it may be so, but we hear far too many times that we have politicians playing favorites, playing political games, putting pork into bills, and then doing things like this to subvert the process and not solve the problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think this is one of their ploys to finally get rid of Remington in New York State.
And I mean,
I know they moved most of it to Alabama anyway, but they finally want to get rid of Remington in New York State. If they close it up, it probably won't reopen for, if they close it up for very long.
yeah.
So
That wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened to Remington, though. They've got other factories, and they've got the power to open up factories.
it would be a bad
To not
thing
open back up, to not open back up in New York would just be a bigger problem to New York. They're gonna lose that revenue.
1/6 of the income in this whole county comes from Remington, and you're going to shut it down.
Yeah,
Right.
So
like it's a large percentage of the employment in that county too.
Yeah. So
I mean, I don't know how many people work in that facility, but it's a lot.
yeah,
and the thing is, why aren't they making the medical supplies that they offered to make? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get it. So
Yeah, if I was Remington, I think I would just pump out some of it, and
send it to
let
other
bigger
states.
government say, hey, it's here, you're using it.
Yeah,
yeah. Boy, I
I don't
can't
know.
type. Can't type. Oh man. So what do we got? We got We got some
little
products
range
of the week.
toys.
Hand one over here. Can't see him over there.
That's a Venture Tilt.
Range finders.
Range finders. You got to keep these separate because they're identical. But
Yeah,
that's the Tilt.
That's the Tilt, huh?
Yeah.
Does it say Tilt on it anywhere?
I didn't see it.
No. Okay.
I just made sure this one. Anyway, these are a Simmons product. I think a lot of people know about Simmons products. They're kind of, I'm going to say, lower priced, but for as much as you're going to use a rangefinder, you know, even down on the range when you pistol range or even back at the rifle bench or something, you're going to want to know how far you are away. These are a 6x20 definition, and they do work pretty good. I was surprised how well they work. We actually found one down there one time, and cheaper model than these are, and they're accurate to within about a foot, really.
Yeah.
So, you know,
they're pretty accurate.
yeah. This one here without the tilt feature is about $90, and that one with the tilt feature is about $109. So, you know, they're not super expensive. Something you can put in your range bag, and if you got a new range or something, you want to go and find out how far it is away, then just push the button and look inside it, and it'll tell you. So, battery operated, got a little battery door on the back, and it looks like a 1, 2, 3, don't it? I don't know.
It does have a focus.
Yeah, has a focus. They both have focus on them. Yeah, that's a 1, 2, 3. Grade 2. CR2.
CR2s.
CR2.
Yeah, take a CR2.
So, take a standard CR2 battery, and which are pretty readily available.
The tilt function on this one gives you true ballistic range to the target if you're up or down. On the one without tilt, it does not give you the true ballistic range to the target. When you're figuring bullet drop and compensation, if you are higher than the target, then if you range find to the target without tilt, it will give you the tangent range. Well, when you're doing that, it's actually the distance from where you are on a level plane over to where your target is that you need to figure out. So it's not the tangent distance. Otherwise, if you range the tangent distance, your bullet's going over top of it because gravity works.
Just like shooting downhill.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot downhill. So,
but these are a pretty good product for the money. Like I say, we got one back in the back room here that we use occasionally. We don't use it a lot, but never know when you go someplace new and not sure what the range is. Don't have a tape with you or a bunch of other people there. You just want to look down there and see how far it is, without going down range in front of somebody who may or may not be as safe as with a firearm as you are, and find out the range and go from there. Be a lot closer than you were just looking at it. So.
A lot of folks will use these for hunting.
Yeah,
they do work pretty well for that. Just getting your rifle set up, finding some dope on different yardages. Doesn't really matter whether you're using it for 50 yards or 100 yards or 600 yards. I think these are 600 yard capable.
Yeah, I think so. 600 yards.
And on a reflective target. So they will see pretty far away. They work really well for the money that's in them. There are a lot better models out there, but if you're looking to just start out with something or keep something in your range bag, probably something like this is going to serve your needs.
I'm sure if you wanted to, see 1,000 yards or something, and you're going to want a little better unit. But these are a good starter unit. Just throw in the range bag, and you're not out a ton of money if something does happen to it.
Nope.
So, but anyway, that's what we got. So.
All right. So we'll put this back here for you. New products. There's a bunch of them. You can't buy a single one of them. Part of the description in the video is new ammo and gun shortage? I don't know. What do you guys think? You think we're running into a long-term ammo or firearm shortage in the next 6 months, a year?
I honestly don't think it's going to be long term. My theory on it is the reason that it went short so fast is the manufacturers are smart enough to hold on to some until everything calms down. I think they've seen this, in the recent past, and they knew better than to empty their warehouses. But maybe that's hopeful thinking. But
Well,
It all depends on how long this lockdown lasts. I mean, if we clear up mid-April, coronavirus clears up mid-May, it should calm down quite a bit. I think towards the middle of summer, we'll be back to normal on ammunition.
the thing is as soon as it does calm down, so many people bought ammo in such a short, period of time that it's going to give them time to build it up because nobody's going to buy anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's got huge stockpiles of ammo right now, so once it all comes back to normal, they've got enough to last them a few months for everybody to get caught back up.
well, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see in the near future. We did talk to a couple distributors, two of our main ones, and they said they have nothing really coming in, right? Nothing there.
No.
But we do have a secondary supplier, and they said they're supposed to get some.
They have a tentative delivery date for next week.
So
we'll see what happens. That's been pushed back about 3 or 4 days from earlier this week, but you don't know. And
My bigger fear than having a shortage, my biggest fear is the price increase.
yeah,
Obviously in our store we're gonna try our best not to increase prices, but we have to go along with wholesalers, and that's what I'm really worried about. If they do bring it back out and they start saying they have some, what are they going to sell it for?
well, and we saw that for a couple years after Sandy Hook, the price skyrocketed, and especially 22 long rifle. The 22 long rifle's never gone back down to where it was before that, and they had just recently started to get down to what I thought was reasonable levels. I still thought it was a little overpriced for 22 long rifle, but I mean, I can remember the days of the, $8.99 500 count brick. So
yeah,
Oh yeah,
I remember getting a box, was it 5,280 rounds for like $68?
yeah. So
Back in the good old days.
yeah. And I saw some Aguila today. The place actually had some Aguila 22 long rifle, and it was $1 a box wholesale over what we charge retail for it.
really,
So
yeah.
that's significant.
yes.
If that's a telltale sign of anything where the rest of it's going up significantly.
Yeah.
So
the I'm concerned about the price increase. I think in the near term, I don't think we're going to make summertime as far as having good availability again. And that's just coming from what I can remember seeing as far as stocking levels right about the 2016 election, and what we see now. I mean, during the last shortage, there was still stuff that was trickling in. There was still stuff that was available as far as shotgun calibers, big revolver handgun cartridges, rifle cartridges. My concern right now is that they didn't. The buying spree wasn't just in one segment, one caliber, one market share.
It was all of it.
It was everything. I spent an hour and a half the other night looking for trap loads that were in stock.
And shotgun shells.
We're talking trap loads. I've never, ever, in any place that I've ever been involved with, seen where trap loads weren't available from a distributor. They normally have them in the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
So
People just started buying whatever they could get their hands on.
yes, they did. And
Yeah.
the other thing
Well,
is,
I think some of it has to do with the fact that going back to 2017 and 2018 and 2019, where we were dealing with the Trump slump, or so to speak, for
Yeah.
that long, and nobody was buying a whole bunch of ammo.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we don't have no ammo. So the people that weren't buying 2 years ago or a year ago now are like buying everything.
yes. Well,
Yeah.
the other thing is, there's a lot of people that didn't make the rush. It got cleaned out so long,
Yeah.
and now that's kind of on the forefront of their mind that I didn't buy enough to begin. I didn't have enough stashed back, so
Right.
that's another concern that I have.
Yeah.
I'm still getting the occasional guy comes up to me and hey, I just realized I've only got half a box for my 9 mil. Can you guys get me anything? No? Sorry, bud.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not right now.
I get
Next
15,
week, maybe.
20 calls a day. You got any 9 mil?
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, we should have some next week.
I would.
We're hoping.
But you're not a real huge significant amount. But
No, not. I mean, we'd like to have 3 times the amount that we got coming, but
yeah.
The other thing that we saw really quickly was at our store, we saw a lot of folks that not only didn't know we were here, had never been in before, took the time to come in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of new gun buyers. We had folks buying guns they couldn't buy ammunition for, and we would flat out tell them that you're going to have trouble finding ammunition right now in a 9mm caliber toward the end there.
Yeah.
So, and we did have people admit that, hey, no, they don't have any, but they think maybe their buddy will loan them a box.
Right.
So, not only we increased the number of new folks in the sport also. So that may bolster some things. And the other thing that concerns me is we have an upcoming election, and traditionally, folks buy guns and ammo like crazy before an election.
Yeah.
So,
but then that's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because if our candidate wins, it might go off a cliff the day after that.
yes, it could.
For 4 more years or however long.
Yeah.
But
everybody gets that sense of safety and security whenever that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw that last election too. So, and it's been almost 4 years coming back. So,
yeah. So we got some concerns with that, but
nothing
I don't
we
know.
can really do about it. So,
keep paddling the boat upriver, I guess, is the only thing we can do, really.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, the thing is, we're not closed.
Yeah. We're not closed.
So,
yeah.
And we still have a little bit of product on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
We have 45 and 380 and some rifle ammo and things like that.
We got more coming in.
We got a bunch of 22 long rifle coming in.
Yep.
And some 40 and theoretically a little bit of 9. We'll beat in the bushes and see if we can find some more somewhere else. And as soon as we've got word out to the distributors that call us as soon as you get it, because we want it.
Yeah.
So we'll hope it eases up a little bit and hope that our distributors pay us as much service as we've paid them lately.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
we've
Yeah.
we spent a buck or two with some pretty significant zeros behind that.
Yeah.
The couple guys,
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some really surprising orders going out.
yeah, there
Oh
was.
my God.
And
I think we all know what what ammunition caliber is going to have a shortage for a while.
yeah,
And I don't think there's any way we're going to get around that.
no,
But
It depends a lot on, and I almost wonder if there's some manufacturers who are sitting on some, like Ryan said too, just, and
to increase the price on it.
yeah. The other thing that you don't know
Well,
is,
yeah, good.
the other thing you don't know is how much law enforcement and the military drained the supply right off the bat.
I'm sure, maybe not military, but
Yeah.
I'm sure law enforcement security. I know security went wild with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any of the private security or
Sure.
business security, those types of things, and they're a little, without a better term, they're a little puckered up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got a call from 2 police departments or representatives from 2 different police departments in the state of Ohio and one outside of the state of Ohio for personal use that were literally like, we have no ammo. So
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that they really had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I think the public got it before they got to it.
Yeah, I think so too.
The other thing that enters into that is we had 3 years of the Trump slump.
Yeah.
The ammo companies had started backing off. There was sales. The pricing was going down. They started backing off on production. They probably weren't keeping as much raw material on hand, different things like that to try and stay profitable. Yeah. And then all of a sudden this comes through and
just wipes them off the wall,
taxes the system, and then what do you do from there? So
it was just too quick.
Yeah.
Nobody had time to react.
No.
Before the doors were getting beat
we
down.
were talking
it was almost out of the blue. Because I went shooting that Saturday.
Yeah.
And I kind of regret it now. On Tuesday, everything was sold out.
Well, we were actually talking about that, and
blow through some ammo at the range, and then we're like, oh man,
we
wish I'd have kept a hold of that.
Yeah. Hindsight is always 20/20, but there was the kind of the end of last month as this thing started heating up a little bit. We started seeing the first one we started seeing availability issues on was 380 automatic. For a while there, we were really scraping the bottom of barrel to find 380.
Yeah.
And then a couple of the bigger manufacturers had gotten low on 9, and a couple of the bigger distributors had gotten low on the big manufacturers, namely Federal and Remington's 9mm. Mm-hmm. And there's always cyclical issues and tax season and different things like that, but that's kind of what we figured was it was the tax buying season, and we were going to see some stuff kind of cycle in and out of stock, and then all of a sudden, and we had started increasing orders and inventory and different things like that. And then all of a sudden it just let loose. So I think actually the industry was a little slow to recognize the buying epidemic because it was right in the middle of the normal tax buying season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, hindsight's always 20/20, but what are you going to do?
Don't know.
Anyway,
well, that's what we got for you guys tonight. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping in. Everybody who commented out there, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, and we will see you next week.